Hi, this is Melanie for the Pardesi channel. I saw a double feature of Malayalam films today. So I saw Mamta, but first I saw Carbon, starring Fahadh Faasil. Carbon was a really strange film for me. It is has a undertitle Ashes and Diamonds. It starts the the beginning credits. You see what looks like a windshield, and it's blurry, and you're seeing raindrops falling down and like headlights. And so the whole film has this feeling you're not sure what's real, you're not sure what's a dream, you're not sure what's a hallucination. It just has a very this quality where it's up to the audience to decide where you what you think is going on, because but it's very, very well acted. It was written and directed by Venu, who is known more as a cinematographer for many, many, many films, but I have seen his 2014 film with Mamta, Munari Yipu, which had such a twist ending. But anyway, that was a very, very good film, but this was even another level beyond that. Very, very interesting film, but I don't feel like I completely got it. Okay, so Fahadh Faasil is a schemer. He's someone who has all of these scams that he's trying to do. So the first part of the film, we're seeing he's running all these scams. He's trying to make money all sorts of shady ways, to the point where moneylenders are coming to his home and threatening his parents, and yet he still goes on. So while he's kind of on the run, he takes a strange job to go out and refurbish this palace in the middle of the jungle. What I don't know. He's just kind of on the run, so he says, okay. And then that's where we're transferred from this very urban environment where he's been running all these scams, and we're seeing him go from hither and thither all over, to this lush jungle setting, and he is completely alone in this huge palace with there's just a caretaker there, and it's kind of creepy. And and then a young woman shows up, and he's hearing about the legend of stolen gold from hundreds of years ago, a couple hundred years ago, and supposedly all the laborers that carried the gold into the, from some ransacked temple, everyone was beheaded, and, there are legends about where the gold might be, but no one has ever found it. Well, he is just, intrigued by this whole idea, go out, hires this guide, played by, so his name is Stalin, which I found funny, Kandam Achari, who I remembered from Kamari Padam. I had to look up, I'm like, where have I seen him? So I was glad to see him again, because I'm not sure if I've seen him recently in another film. So he was great as the sort of cagey jungle guide that takes him into the jungle. Group of explorers. We have our guide, Stalin, the girl, Samira, Mamta, played by Mamta Mohandas. She was in Celluloid, but I don't really, is what I read after I saw the movie. But so here she's playing a very adventure, kind of an adrenaline junkie adventure girl. And then we have Fahadh Faasil. So they trek off into the jungle in search of this gold and encounter wild deer, which I guess was sort of, there was a symbolism to that from the Ramayana, and which I had to look up after I got home because I didn't really remember about Sita seeing the golden deer. And then at some point, they're almost out of food. They haven't found anything, and everyone else wants to go home, and Fahadh Faasil wants to stay. So I'm not going to spoil what happens, but then it becomes even more dreamlike, because he's desperate for food, and he eats wild mushrooms, and yeah. So throughout the whole thing, it was I really wasn't sure what was real and what wasn't. Even when he was in the urban environment before he went into the jungle, at one point he goes and he's trying to buy an elephant for cheap and then sell it. And the elephant caretaker, the elephant tender, is Subhan Shahir, who later might be a ghost, might not, but yet he has a picture of the elephant and Subhan on his phone after. So it's all like that, where you're just kind of like, wait, was that real? Was there really a ghost, or was he imagining? So the whole thing was I'm not saying it was, I mean, it followed a flow. It wasn't that I didn't really understand the story. It's just you as the audience are not completely sure that what you're seeing is real. And it's hard to make that differentiation sometimes. And that's okay, but it's left up to the audience to decide how you're going to interpret everything that has happened to Fahadh Faasil's character, and you know what you think happened in the end to him. So I don't know. I left kind of confused. I don't think I got all the symbolism in the film. Some of the stuff was just going over my head while I was watching it, and I had to look things up later when I got home. I would watch Rungun. I read his review of the film, which helped, but even so, I don't know. It was a strange film. I'm glad I experienced it. I thought Fahadh Faasil was fantastic in the film, playing this person who's just so consumed with greed and just driven to do all these crazy things. It's such an interesting character. There's no romance. There's some adventure, but it's not like a thriller through the whole film. There's a lot of character development of learning about Fahadh Faasil's character before we get even to the jungle. And then there's some quiet moments before we have some dramatic moments with elephants and chases and whatever, And the trailer made it look like it was some sort of horror thriller film. I wouldn't call it that either. It's unusual. It's unusual, which is, it's fine to have something offbeat and different. Anyway, I mostly enjoyed it. I don't know that it's one to necessarily run out to the cinema to pay money to see, but definitely worth seeing once it becomes on a streaming service. But if you're a Fahadh Faasil fan, then it's a must-see. You need to go see his great performance. Let me know if you like this film review, and follow us on Facebook and Twitter at Pardesi YT. Please subscribe and hit the bell, and then you'll get a notification whenever we have a new video review or trailer reaction.